Conversations with HJM. I'm Lisa Harris-Jones.
And I'm Barry Glassman.
And today we have Delegate Stinnett representing the 41st District in Baltimore City. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
So, it's been a big year for you. You were appointed to your position as delegate by the State Central Committee right in the middle of the session, thrown into the Judiciary Committee that has a lot of things going on with legislation that impact the state and a budget deficit. So you walked into a very big session. How was that?
It was exciting and a little bit nerve-wracking, and just like you mentioned, I mean, you were literally thrown into, into the session. What I can say that, by me being thrown into the session, I think that I was surrounded by a very supportive group of colleagues, of other legislatures, especially, my seatmates that I must have, mentioned with the Delegate Jackie Addison as well as Delegate Kaylin Young. They've been very supportive to make sure that, I get the sort of the understanding, to get kind of brought up to speed as far as what everything was going on, because I came in literally less than 2 weeks prior to Bill Cross. So that became very challenging within itself. And just like you mentioned, just to be on the Judiciary Committee, that was sort of, a challenge within itself as well.
Yeah, Judiciary is a tough committee.
Yeah.
Is that a committee you wanted to head to and do some work on?
No, I didn't actually had any initial thoughts about it. Of course, by being a legislator, I knew I was going to be assigned to some type of committee. Sort of, my background, daily background is actually minority and veteran business development. So with that in mind and with that sort of background that I've had coming in, I thought that at least I'll be some way related to as far as on that particular committee. However, Judiciary, I really felt sort of comfortable, surprisingly, because just by my community work that I've been doing for so many years, I still am the president of my own community association, West Arlington, and even other community groups that I've been affiliated with, as far as 300 Men March and We Are Us and so forth, that, we concentrate on specific issues, day-to-day issues that affect, people's lives on a daily basis. So yeah, so that kind of helped out.
Yeah, no offense to Lisa, but we don't really need all attorneys on Judiciary anyhow.
Right. But we have a great group of individuals, of legislatures on that committee.
So going into next session, you'll actually have legislation that I'm sure you've worked on or you're working on right now to be introduced. So what are going to be some of the things that we can see that's part of your legislative agenda? Sure.
There are a few areas that I really want to champion, and especially when in terms of mental health. Just recently, I had a family member that had committed suicide. And I really think that, what I really want to champion as far as the specific legislation dealing with mental health is actually having licensed therapists and licensed mental health professionals inside the schools. Because I think that we as adults and parents, we don't address the mental health of, our young people. And that's something that I really want to champion. So the next legislation that I want to champion is in reference to assisted living in group homes, as far as to become more transparent when these type of businesses come into neighborhoods, that at least they have to engage as far as with the community organizations and so forth, so they'll know exactly what's coming into the neighborhoods and what type of clientele are coming to the neighborhoods. That's something that is missing right now, and it's affecting different quality of life issues in terms of you have a lot of prostitution coming into the neighborhoods, you have a lot of drugs and so forth. So we need to kind of keep sort of a track as far as these type of neighborhoods coming into, these type of businesses coming into the neighborhoods.
Yeah. Are they currently required to have like a community impact or community input meeting?
No, they're not at all.
Like
and that's what's missing. That's what's missing. That
Mm-hmm.
transparency part, that's what's missing.
I got you. Mm-hmm. I know in Judiciary, one of the big issues, and Baltimore City has made great strides on the violent crime rate, but there seems to be still this juvenile justice area that the legislature keeps looking at. Recently, the governor did make a change at juvenile justice, and I was just wondering, do you think that will come up next year in Judiciary as we begin looking at trying to tamp down that area?
Yeah, I think it will. I think it will until we figure out a way to kind of get it right. I think that's an ongoing issue. and concern for a lot of folks, and that's one of the primary concerns and issues that a lot of folks now, since I have this title, address me in different meetings and so forth. So we're trying to find ways, even if it's to the small things, as far as just to find, activities that, young people can be active with, or supporting certain organizations and so forth, so these kids can have something to do instead of not having something to do, which kind of lower them to, something that's negative.
Yeah, and you mentioned mental health early. Mental wellness in schools, I think,
Right.
would go a long ways to helping.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that in just looking at the time when the pandemic was sort of at its peak, I think the rise in, as far as mental illness with the youth, especially unfortunately suicide, had been rising every year, and that's something that we have to address ASAP.
Yeah.
Being new to the General Assembly, I can't do math, maybe 4 months in, 6 months in, our viewers that are watching, what would you share with them a little bit about who you are that you think, is the fabric to you being a good legislator?
Well, one of the things, what got me the necessary 5 votes, the majority votes that I received, is because of those individuals looked at the work that I've done in the past 8 to 10 years. They saw me as far as being active, very active, as far as within not only my own community, but within the entire 41st district and other neighborhoods and communities and so forth. And they saw me being consistent, because that's what it's all about. We're so accustomed to have a community leader or somebody that may run for office or whatever, and they would do certain things just because they want to get to that point and maybe not be successful. That's one thing that I didn't do. I stayed within the community. I stuck to my roots as far as to make sure that I remained engaged. So our constituents see that I not only me being consistent, but also I have a passion as far as what I want to do and actually serve and represent this district.
You're not an overnight success.
No, not at all.
Now, I don't know how you sleep.
Yeah.
I know that you work with, little league football teams or baseball teams.
Right.
You're doing cleanups throughout the city with young people.
Correct.
I don't know if you follow him on Instagram or social media. He's always somewhere doing something, and that's been pretty consistent, like he shared,
Right.
for I don't know, for 20 years or more.
It's just relaxing to me. I think I enjoy what I do, and it just comes out, and especially dealing with, it's a plus, dealing with that it's with youth, it's with older adults and so forth, and I just enjoy what I do.
So before we let you go, and we really appreciate that you found time to come and talk to us, what else can you share with our viewers about Delegate Sean Stinnett?
Well, I would say that I'm ready to serve. I'm ready, and getting myself prepped up right now for the 2026 session. This is going to be sort of my first full session and an opportunity to pass legislation. Of course, I have the experience as far as co-sponsoring some bills, but I think that just folks that sort of will continue to know and understand about me that I'm very hardworking, very transparent, and very engaging. I always say that I keep my door open to everybody. Everyone knows exactly not only where my family and I live, but as far as on what I really represent, and especially is definitely the community and young and older adults and so forth.
Very good.
Well, thank you.
Thank you.
And thank you for joining us on Conversations with HJM.